Hey everybody, what's happening? Welcome into the Steven Singer Studios. I'm Marc Farzetta, and welcome into the Farzy Show. So much to get to today, but let's start out with this. We need a boat parade on the Schuylkill. That's what we need. It doesn't have to be football. I mean, I wouldn't mind another Super Bowl parade, but it's going to be a little brisk, a little chilly. Maybe an October one, maybe an early November one with the Phillies. That'd be nice. Sixers, a little kind of summerish. I would enjoy that. Flyers, by all means. That looked awesome. That looked like one of the coolest parades ever. A boat parade? First off, perfectly appropriate given the times we're in, even in a little state like Florida, a town like Tampa, for instance. They went right by the University of Tampa campus, by the way, which I didn't even realize, but people from that school were posting pictures. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers boat parade looked fantastic. I wish I was there. That looked like the party to be at. And by the way, more on that later because of just how awesome it looked and how hammered Tom Brady was. We're going to go there, and we're going to give you a little bit of play-by-play of everything that took place at that parade yesterday just because I thought it looked awesome. And I was thinking, what would be cooler? Would it be cooler to have it on the Schuylkill, go right through the river? Or would it be cooler to go down the Delaware because then Jason Kelce would be dressed up like George Washington crossing the Delaware before that, the Battle of Trenton on Christmas? Yeah, I want to see Jason Kelce dressed up as George Washington. I don't know about you. And who knows? Maybe you don't even need a Super Bowl parade to do that. But if that's thrown in, I'll take it. Once again, welcome into the show. A couple of things we're going to get into today other than a parade and whatever happens with the Eagles and that whole Carson Wentz fiasco. We're going to focus on a couple other things today, at least in the open of the show, because Derrick Gunn is today's guest, the guy that I like to call the Gun Father. I mean, I know a lot of people, D-Gun, Gunner, and all that, and I certainly reference him as that. However, he is the Gun Father because to me, he is the Don. He is the Don of Philadelphia Eagles football. He's covered the team for years, knows that locker room in and out, talks to players on the reg. So when it comes to knowing this team from a media perspective, from an outside objective journalist standpoint, Derrick Gunn is the guy I'd like to go to. And we've tried to dissect this from every angle with Carson Wentz and Howie Roseman. And I think most people right now are focusing in on the idea that if they move on from Carson Wentz, at least it's a turning of the page, and we look forward to see what Jalen Hurts could do or whatever they're going to do in the draft, if it's bringing in a quarterback, whatever they might do. But I know in talking about Carson Wentz as we've been doing, it feels like it's the season again. And here's what I mean by that. During the season, Howie Roseman kind of gets pushed aside for a little bit. We could always go back to, this is Howie because he can't draft. That's why these players are out here. That's why I got to watch J.J. Arcega-Whiteside on Sundays and not watch DK Metcalf or Terry McLaurin, for instance. So this is why I got to watch guys like Justin Jefferson go out and tear it up in his rookie season out there in Minneapolis when I'm watching a guy like Jalen Reagor here in Philadelphia try to figure it out and try to stay healthy at the same time. But a lot of that with Howie Roseman kind of gets pushed aside because we're busy actually evaluating play, and we're actually busy evaluating the decisions made by the head coach of the football team, the play caller, and then it was Doug Peterson. So during the season, Howie kind of gets pushed aside because this might sound wildly hypocritical, but it could be way too repetitive to just focus on Howie for 16 to 17 weeks during the season. So Howie kind of just gets brushed off and we focus on what we watch every single game. But in the offseason, that's when we should be focused on Howie. However, right now, what we're really focused on is Carson Wentz and evaluating whether or not he's going to be here. And I know a lot of that does go back to the general manager of the football team. But in all this Carson Wentz stuff, what we're losing sight of is that problem that was reported, that problem that we talked about a couple of days ago when Rob Monty of the AP went out there and said that a lot of players, a lot of people that are still very familiar with the structure of the Eagles, regardless of Doug Peterson, regardless of what happens with Carson Wentz, the problem is still going to be there with the Eagles. And the problem is the biggest problem. It's Howie. And it's not being able to draft. And if you can't build through the draft, then guess what? Most likely you're not going to win another Super Bowl. And everything worked out beautifully in 2017 and obviously the Super Bowl of 2018. It was great. But I don't think anyone's really looking forward to seeing that happen with any realistic point of view in the very near future. And that's the biggest problem of them all. The cause of the problem, Howie Roseman. So although we keep mentioning Carson Wentz, what we really should be focusing in on is Howie. And if we are going to trade, if the Eagles are going to trade for their, trade away their starting franchise quarterback and all that and hand the reins to Jalen Hurts, the draft capital that comes back, as our friend Kevin Agandi pointed out earlier in the week, whatever Howie gets back, are you confident he's going to spend it wisely? Are you confident that he's going to make those picks? Even if he does get a second-round pick, are you confident he's going to make the right pick in a second-round pick? If he makes a second and a fourth-round pick, are you confident that he's going to make the right picks with those guys coming in here, with that draft capital, with those assets? God forbid I use that word again. With those assets coming in here to Philadelphia? Maybe because I'm not. Derrick Gunn will help us try to sift through all the latest when it comes to Carson. But I didn't want to spend every minute of the 15 to 20 minutes I do in every open of every show talking about that again, because we're going to get plenty of that from our friend Derrick Gunn. But I did want to focus on a couple of things that have kind of flown under the radar for a little bit here. And one is Phillies baseball. And we said yesterday that it's going to be now less than a week, 6 days. 6 days, pitchers and catchers report to Clearwater, Florida, and I can't wait. Joe Girardi addressed the media yesterday. Dave Dombrowski addressed the media the day before, giving us all updates on what could be happening. And it looks like everything is falling into place for the Phillies starting 9. And that's awesome. There's just one little spot where there's a big question mark. It looks like Scott Kingery is most likely going to be your utility guy again. Okay, that's kind of what Scott has worked his way into. Until he takes starters reps again, then that's what he is going to be, the utility man, so to speak. Gene Segura is locked up at second base right now, according to Joe Girardi yesterday. So it's the utility man of Scott Kingery. But the center field spot is a big question. And like most Phillies fans, I was looking at it and saying, all right, well, you got Adam Hazley, who's an 8th overall pick. You got Roman Quinn, who is just oft injured, unfortunately. And then you got the utility man in Scott Kingery. Personally, of those three, I'm riding with Hazley. At least he's a 278 hitter. At least he had a lot of potential, obviously, if you're drafting him in the top 10. So there's some good investment there. And then this other name came out. And I was reading Bob Brookover yesterday at Inquirer.com, who covers the Phillies and does a wonderful job. And Bob Brookover was writing the story of that one, Odubel Herrera. And I, for a second, forgot he existed. And of course, the obvious came running back to my brain, came to the forefront of my brain. What happened when he was in Vegas and he was brought up on charges that were later dropped of domestic violence with his girlfriend in a hotel room in Atlantic City. And of course, that came to the forefront. And then I was like, let me go to the baseball world for a second here, because that's horrible and no one can refute that that's horrible. But he was one of the dumbest baseball players I have ever seen play. I mean, he showed promise. He showed the ability to hit with some pop, and he could get on base, and he could hit for average, and he played okay in center field. Had a lot of problems every once in a while tracking a line drive hit right at him. But just the baseball IQ wasn't there for him. So from just a baseball standpoint, I'm good. People deserve second chances and all that. I'm not big for second chances because I'm not one of those people that brushes up domestic violence as he made a mistake. No, a mistake is I brought the wrong pen to work. Domestic violence is an egregious action. So I'm not all in when it comes to second chances on that. But when it comes to something like the baseball part of it, where you go $10.5 million, that's what he's going to get paid anyway. And then I think it's another $2.5 million just to cut him at the end of the season. Oh, well, we want to see what we get for $10.5 million. Yeah, don't you already kind of know what you would get for $10.5 million, which is just a frustrating baseball player who, by the way, now has a seedy past. Yeah, I think I'm good on that. And you talk about the investment of $10.5 million. I'll say, okay, fine. What about the investment of an 8th overall pick in Adam Hazley? Don't you want to see him progress? Don't you want to see him come along in the center field spot? And I'm thinking, I don't get too frustrated with the Phillies 6 days away from spring training, because usually there I'm with Phillies colored glasses and I'm just thinking, baseball, it's going to be back soon. Clearwater, Florida, beautiful weather. The snow that just fell this morning will melt automatically in my mind because I know that pitchers and catchers are reported to Clearwater. And then I hear Dave Dombrowski talk about it. And Bob Brookover quotes him in the article. And he says that that decision has yet to be made on Odubel Herrera. Like, at $10.5 million, it's not like it's JT Real Muto at 23, and 10.5 is significant. I get it. But it's not like JT Realmuto, or it's not like Bryce Harper, where you're talking about 23 to $30 million and all that. This seems like a pretty easy decision. Odubel, thanks, but no thanks. If Adam Hazley wasn't here, I might get it a little bit from just the baseball, just for the organization standpoint. But when you have somebody young, when you have somebody that you've invested a high pick in, like I said, an 8th overall pick, then I'm going to go ahead and give that guy a shot. And who knows what could happen with Roman Quinn, and you already have a guy, a utility role of Scott Kingery. But as of right now, I'm good on Odubel Herrera, baseball and personally speaking. That ship I thought had sailed. In the back of my mind, when they never really said that he was done, that's kind of when I knew if it came down to the money, he would be back. And right now, they're not ruling it out. According to Bob Brookover, the decision ultimately is going to come down to John Middleton, the principal owner, the managing partner, if you will, the Philadelphia Phillies. So we'll see what comes of all that. And I really also thought that the more positivity was going to come about after they got JT Realmuto and after they re-signed Didi Gregorius, because Didi Gregorius was really the last guy that a lot of us, myself included, were looking at saying, all right, well, if he's going to be the shortstop next year, I'm a happy man. And they re-upped with him. They re-upped with Realmuto. I'm feeling good. And then I get reminded that Odubel Herrera might still be playing center field for the Phillies in the upcoming season. Thanks, but no thanks on Odubel Herrera. Something else I wanted to get into today is something else that's fallen under the radar a little bit. Has anybody followed what's been going on with this NBA All-Star game? Because I feel like what we have discussed, what we've talked about in our little circle of friends and our other fellow fans and Twitter and whatnot, is drumming up votes for Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons, and drumming up votes for those guys to make it into the All-Star game. When it still feels like the All-Star game in the NBA might not even happen. I was reading up on this yesterday, and I was aware of what LeBron James said last week, as a matter of fact. The memo went out to teams, and it was obtained by Woj of ESPN, Adrian Wojnarowski. And the memo said that they were still trying to iron out a basic agreement between the Players Union and the league as to what they were going to do this year for an All-Star game. Now, in October, Woj reported that there might not be an All-Star game. Understandable. You were just getting the season together. You're just trying to get the season together after the other one just shut down and you had to resume in a bubble. So why would you want to play an extra game if you're the NBA? That was October. In November, they announced that they're moving the game. That they're canceling or postponing the game from being played in Indianapolis. And then last month, it officially comes out that they're going to move the game from Indianapolis to Atlanta. Okay. And then it comes out that they're not really sure how they're going to do this. They're not sure when if it's going to be an All-Star weekend. They're not sure when the slam dunk contest is going to be. They're not sure when the three-point contest is going to be. They're not even sure when the game's going to be. And if you look right now, you can't find a time for the NBA All-Star game to tip off, and it tips off in less than a month. And now it seems like, according to this is why it came to mind. Yesterday, there's a story in the New York Times about the NBA and how they're going to put all this together and how upset the players are that they're going to go forward with an All-Star game. And what should they do? Should they raise money for the benefit of healthcare workers? Do they want to raise money for other social causes, whatever it might be, just to get the All-Star game underway? But a report came out in the New York Times yesterday saying that the NBA still has all this to iron out, and they still don't know how to do it. And as of right now, it looks like they're going to hold the skills competition and the All-Star game in the same day. And there's a possibility right now that the slam dunk contest happens at halftime of this game. The All-Star game is going to look a lot different this year, to say the least. I'm not even sure if it's going to be, I don't know if they're doing the Team LeBron and Team Giannis like last year, however they work that out. I think it's going to be East versus West. But as of right now, with LeBron James coming out just last week saying, I don't even know why we're doing this, and then some other players trying to push forward and doing it, the NBA will give credit for this. The NBA is at least saying that they're not sure yet whether or not they're going to find players. Now, I know De'Aaron Fox came out late last week and said, it's expensive if you don't go. That was the case in years past, but in the year of a pandemic, they might actually say, hey, you know what, if you don't want to go, I understand, and I'll see you later. But I think TNT, who has a great day with the NBA All-Star Game, huge partner of the NBA, obviously, I think TNT is going to be rather upset if a LeBron James says, I'm good on the All-Star game. I ain't going. I think they're going to have a problem if a guy even like Steph Curry says, I'm good. I'm not going to go to the All-Star game. It looks like these players are going to have to show up when voted in. It looks like they are going to go through with festivities in a much different way than we're used to seeing. And I knew it was bad. I knew they had some things that they had to work out. I didn't realize they didn't even have a game time yet for the All-Star game, which, by the way, was moved from, I believe it was February 16th, if I'm not mistaken, to March 7th. Like I said, March 7th in Atlanta. So the NBA is still ironing out a lot of things as far as that's concerned. But that's where they're at right now in the National Basketball Association. And I'm voting for these guys. It does feel weird when Major League Baseball didn't have an All-Star game, albeit they started the season crazy late, as we know. The Pro Bowl was played in basically digitally with video games, and it wasn't even a Pro Bowl, really. They changed their format. And then also the NHL postponed their All-Star game, I think, until 2022. So the NBA going forward with this is wild. And players also, by the way, were told that they're going to have to go about this in a bubble-like fashion from just a couple of months ago now, from the bubble fashion that they had in Orlando. They're going to have to do that for essentially 5 days. And meanwhile, the other players that don't make the All-Star game are all limited with travel restrictions and all that. Can't travel outside the continental. Oh, they can go to Hawaii. That's right. They can go to Hawaii and I think Puerto Rico. But other than that, it's all USA all the time. So that's what we're looking at right now with the NBA. And I know we hadn't really touched on that much during the show. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. While we're all voting for Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and voting for Tobias Harris to finally make an all-star team, that's what's going on with these players right now as to the NBA saying, well, we'll see what happens. Just plan on there being a game and everybody vote now. That's what's going on right now. Do have to tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. If you followed me here to this format here in the digital world across all social media platforms, then you know my man is Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. He likes to think of himself as the Walmart and Tiffany's combined. If they had a baby, that'd be Steven Singer. He's baby Walmart, baby Tiffany's, because, every single time you're getting the best value, the perfect price for high quality stuff. Steven Singer, right now, Valentine's Day is Sunday. Valentine's Day is Sunday, so don't mess around with any sales or discounts or anything like that, because Steven Singer has the perfect price guaranteed for you. You'll get the best value. Valentine's Day for this Sunday. Don't miss out. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com to avoid shipping delays. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven has the #1 gift for Valentine's Day. That's the real roses dipped in 24-karat gold, preserved and guaranteed to last a lifetime. There's no better time to say I love you, especially with the brand new Twinkle Twinkle Deep Blue Sparkling Rose, the color of the night sky just as the sun goes down. Go now to IHateStevenSinger.com. Get free shipping. IHateStevenSinger.com. Starting at just $59. Without further ado, we're going to jump on the Zados Investments guest line and talk to my good friend Derrick Gunn to get the latest on the Carson Wentz Philadelphia Eagles Howie Roseman fiasco. Let's go to Gunner. And there he is, our man, the Gunfather himself, Derrick Gunn. Gunner, what's happening, brother?
Farzy, how you been, brother? I'm doing great.
I'm doing well as well, my friend. But I'm getting a headache from the amount of times we got to now try to figure out, while the Eagles are trying to figure out whatever it is they're going to do with Carson Wentz. So, as someone who has covered the Eagles as long as you have, as someone who's been around all their coaches in the Jeffrey Lurie era and all that.
So basically, you're calling me old. Okay, go ahead.
I am calling you experienced.
Right. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Experienced.
Old, experienced, well preserved, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead. Keep going.
Now well preserved. I'll save that for the end, my friend. What do you make of this now? What is, I think, turned into a circus already with the Eagles as we wait with bated breath to see what they actually do with Carson Wentz?
I think in professional terms, this is a hot mess right now as we look at it. I've talked to players on the inside. They don't know what's going on. Talk to other people. They're just like, Gunner, I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, they're still trying to figure it out. We all thought that, okay, if they got rid of Doug Peterson, then maybe Carson would recant his phantom statement that he doesn't want to be here anymore. I'm not saying Carson said it. We just have to go on what we're told, the rumor mill.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he would come out at some point and say, Welcome to town, Coach Nick, and I'm looking forward to working with you. And we haven't heard from Carson. See, Carson could have squashed a lot of this mess had he made a statement on his Twitter account, which he does about everything else he wants to talk about. He could have forced the Eagles, the PR staff, to release a statement through their organization, could have put on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Nothing from Carson. Phone line is silent, which leaves a lot of speculation. Okay, the Carson still doesn't want to be here. So if he doesn't want to be here, then who's the problem? The guy pulling the strings, Howie Roseman. Okay, so obviously Carson still has a problem with Howie. All right, so what do you do now? Eagles are strapped because of his cap number. There are a lot of teams out there that don't want to take that big cap hit right now. Carson has lost some of his bargaining power. Organization, rather, has lost some of the bargaining power to trade him because of the season that he just went through. So the Eagles are almost like damned if you do, damned if you don't in a lot of ways in this situation. Now you got a new coaching staff coming in here. They don't know who they're coaching yet. Are they coaching Carson? Are they coaching Jalen Hurts? Obviously, you're going to coach both, but who are you streamlining your offense around? Because they're two different styles of quarterbacks in a lot of ways. So this coaching staff, it basically is like sitting on their hands and thumbs thinking, okay, we just have to wait and see what we're going to do here. It's a hot mess right now, man.
I think you summed it up perfectly with that hot mess comment. That's exactly what it seems like, especially because the new head coach comes in here for the old head coach, who we all know won a Super Bowl here and all that.
Yep.
But I thought Doug was the guy that didn't want Carson, and then possibly another report comes out that he did want Carson.
Yeah.
But what do you think the main reason for Doug Peterson not being here anymore is? Is it because of Carson? Is it because of Howie? Is it because Jeff didn't share the same vision? Why isn't Doug here anymore? Let's start with that.
He got tired of dealing with Howie. He just got tired of it, plain and simple, got tired of dealing with Howie and said, you know what, I've had enough. That's it. I'm done. Doug can sit on his butt and collect a nice hefty paycheck this year if he doesn't want to coach. Can you imagine sitting on your behind collecting $4 or $5 million for a year, do nothing?
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Only in America, as Don King would say. Only in America, So he can sit back and people say, okay, well, out of sight, out of mind. No. Think about how few coaches there are in the National Football League that have won a Super Bowl. If Adam Gase got a second chance to head coach a team, you don't think Doug Peterson's going to get a second chance when 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs open up in 2022? Absolutely. And Doug can sit back and watch the lay of the land and watch the teams play 16, 17, 18 game schedule in 2021 and decide which job do I want to pursue the most, even if it's a team that's rebuilding. What do they already have in place? What are the draft picks like? I mean, Doug's in a perfect spot right now. He's alleviated all the tension and all the stress day in and day out of what he just went through in 2020, the multitude of injuries, standing in front of a podium every day, talking about Carson, then talking about who's your quarterback this week, the last month of the season. And is Carson going to be trained? I mean, to me, it looked like Doug was mentally and emotionally and physically worn down by late December. When I looked at him standing at the podium talking to the media, I think he was just overall worn down. And I think right now, mentally, physically, emotionally, Doug Peterson's in Camelot.
You know how much fishing you would do if you just had a year off at like $4.5 to $5 million? I don't think any fish would be safe.
Dude, I'm fishing creeks, streams, ocean, bays, rivers, polluted waters. You ever watch that? You ever watch that show? It's on the Discovery Channel. Jeremy Wade. He goes fishing. He goes fishing all over the world for the most dangerous fish there is, because he's heard the stories about this fish may have killed these people in this village, or have done damage here. He fishes for all these incredible fish, man. I mean, fish, they have teeth like this, that look like machete knives. And I'm thinking, that's the kind of job that I want to have down the road somewhere. I can't even think of the name of the show, and I watch it every week.
Well, I know the show that you and I have talked about before is Meat Eater.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, I have yet to do what that guy has done, but I still enjoy the show. It's a good program.
Now that you say that, I've got a show spinning in my head. Kill It and Grill It.
Is that the name of an actual show, or is that the name of what your show would be?
No, that's what my warped mind is thinking right now. Kill it and grill it. I just came up with a new show title. Somebody's going to steal it. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I'll try to edit it out of the interview later so it doesn't get on repeat and then people hear that and steal it. Gunnar, so ask you this. Fast forward now to modern day. So that's why Doug's probably not here anymore. Couldn't get along with Howie. Wanted more power, I would assume. And then Carson Wentz seems like he is on his way out, as you mentioned earlier. Are you I'm in the school that Carson Wentz is 99.9% gone? Could you put a percentage on it? How sure or how likely do you think it is that Carson Wentz will no longer be a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles in the not too distant future?
Had you asked me that a week ago, I would have said maybe 95% gone. But I've read the recent reports that came out there from so-called anonymous executives in the National Football League that have basically said the Eagles are asking for a similar deal to what the Rams and the Detroit Lions did in the Jared Goff, Matt Stafford exchange. And the Eagles are out of their bleeping minds if they think they're going to get that for Carson Wentz. And here's the way I see it from my perspective. If I'm the Eagles general manager, and if I really want this guy out of here, you find a way to get him out of here. But because of the season he just had, because of his cap hit, they're handcuffed. If Carson had a season similar to 2017, I think it would be a lot easier to trade him. But if I'm a GM from a prospective buyer, I've got to look my owner in the face and sell him on a guy who didn't play anywhere near that in 2020. And you have to ask the question, are we starting to see a decline in a Carson Wentz, still at a young age, still in the prime of his career, or was that just a blip on the radar? But that's a hefty price to pay when you're talking about possibly giving up 1 or 2 first-round picks and another pick, maybe a third-round pick, or maybe a player. And I've got to sell that to my boss because if it doesn't pan out, I'm not going to have a job at the end of – I may not make it through 2021 and keep my job. Mm-hmm. Now, you might make yourself look really good if it turns out that all Carson needed was a change of scenery. But, man, that is one big roulette wheel to spin and try to hit the right number. And so when you talk about a buyer's and seller's market, no thanks. I don't want to take that risk. You know, Carson may end up in my division, may come back to haunt us a couple of times a year. But from what I've seen and all the stuff that I've heard throughout the latter part of this year, Carson is not the consummate teammate. Deliberately changed plays that Doug Peterson would call at the line of scrimmage. Wasn't considered the greatest locker room guy. Had a small clique of guys, but alienated other guys. I don't know if I want that type of element in my locker room environment, especially if I'm a new head coach trying to change the culture and the environment of a place I'm going. I don't know if I want to bring that in there. Yeah. So I'm on the outside looking in at this whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's, as you said, it's a hot mess. It's very peculiar to get to be at the point that we're at right now, still waiting for them to pull the trigger on a deal. But when it does come to Carson and it comes to potentially finally moving on from him, what do you think is the fair price? Because I think the NFL looks at Jared Goff and they go, well, not a lot of problems there. Sure, they had to package 2 first-round picks essentially with Jared Goff, but they also got in return another starting quarterback in Matthew Stafford. So I would look at the NFL and say, wow, if that's what they packaged to give up Goff, what are they going to have to package to give up Carson Wentz? And what will you get as a return? Will you get a first? Will you get a second? Will you get a third even? What do you think Carson Wentz would give or bring back in a trade?
If I'm dangling trade items, it wouldn't be anything higher than a second. And if that is the case, it would be a low second-round pick. I'm not trading you the 35th or 36th pick because in a lot of cases, that's like an additional first-round pick. Mm. You look at some teams that have had multiple first-round picks or a first-round pick and a couple of high second-round picks. A lot of times the second-round picks turn out to be better than the first-round picks. So I'm not giving you a high first-round pick, especially if I'm trying to build with a youth movement. I would start with a mid-range to low second-round pick. Maybe I'll throw in a third-round pick as well. In terms of players, okay, what exactly are you looking for in terms of players? Because let's face it, when it comes to the Eagles, they don't have many players they can give up as it is.
No.
You're going to give up Fletcher Cox?
No.
Okay. What else on defense other than Darius Slay are you really going to give up? Maybe a Brandon Graham who's 32 now and maybe has a year or two left. What are you going to give up? What else you got that anybody else really wants?
See, the thing that also pairs with that is the idea that there's so much money already tied up with Carson Wentz that if you're going to put another player on that, that's also adding even more money for a team to give or to take on rather.
Yep. So the Eagles are handcuffed in a lot of ways.
Wow.
You're going to have to delete some veteran players because you're 50+ million over the cap. You're going to have to go on this definitive youth movement. So you need more draft picks. Now, of course, when you're talking about dangling a franchise quarterback to get multiple draft picks, you're hoping that you're dangling that quarterback who's put up decent numbers, and that's not the case. Carson had his worst season as a professional in 2020. So now the bargaining power that you had, even the Carson Wentz of 2019 had much better bargaining power than the guy we had to endure in 2020. So now you're caught between a rock and a hard place, because if you're Harry Roseman and you just take whatever you can get out of desperation, and it's a third or fourth, fifth round pick, whatever the case may be, and that guy goes somewhere else and turns out to be a Pro Bowl quarterback, he gets back with Frank Wright, or, let's say he goes to Chicago, John DeFilippo's there, who's just been elevated to the role of passing game coordinator, and DeFilippo. Now people who want to burn your organization down. You're going to have people marching around the NovaCare complex with torches who want to burn it down. But these are the same people who are basically now saying, you know what, get Carson out of here. If you don't want to be in Philadelphia, we don't want him here either. But you know how Philadelphia fans are, man. Hot, cold, indifferent. It's like the weather. Yeah, I said it. I put it out there. Yes, I did.
As they say in the movie Gladiator, the mob is fickle, brother.
Yes, there
fickle.
You go. Perfect.
Now, so Carson Wentz, last thing I want to ask you about him in particular.
Yep.
If we saw him in 2017 as that 10 out of 10 quarterback, franchise guy, no doubt, the guy you want for the future, how close can he get back to 10 out of 10? Can he get to 7 out of 10? Can he get to 8 out of 10? If he does go somewhere else or even stays here in Philadelphia, how close to 10 out of 10 do you think he could be?
I think if you streamline the offense to cater to his strengths, I think the biggest detriment to Carson Wentz was when they tried to make him a pocket passer. And I was screaming for the last 2 years, Carson Wentz is not a pocket passer. Carson Wentz is better suited when he's on the move, like a Lamar Jackson, like a Kyler Murray, quarterbacks like that. When he's on the move, rolling out of the pocket, let him use all of his athleticism, whether it's running. I think he throws better on the run than he does from a stationary position.
I agree. When people talk about his mechanics, Gunner,
yes.
I'm like, you know what? His mechanics are be an athlete, make a play.
Yes, exactly.
That's his mechanic. Yeah,
exactly. That's the new wave of the quarterbacks now. You have athletes playing quarterbacks now. Okay, you got a guy, Lamar Jackson, who gets more notoriety for his running ability than he does his passing ability, and he's not a bad passer. Kyler Murray is the same way. That guy's it's like watching a road runner. It's like watching a bunch of Wile E. Coyotes trying to chase the road runner. When you watch this guy play. Now, obviously, Carson is not as fast as those guys.
No.
But you look at Drew Brees. It's a much more efficient quarterback when he takes that deep snap and rolls to his right, pass the ball a few times. He has more time to look at and survey the situation. Russell Wilson, I think he's a better quarterback when he's on the move. Same thing. Aaron Rodgers, I think he's a better quarterback when he's on the move in a lot of cases. So I think if you can get Carson in the right system, whether it's in Philadelphia, I don't know what the Nick Sirianni's system is, but we do know what he could do in the Frank Reich system. We've seen that already 3 years ago, so we already know that. I would assume if he got back with DeFilippo in Chicago, they would tailor that offense to his athleticism as well. But I do think if you get Nick Foles, if you get Carson Wentz in the right system, I think he can get close to what he was in 2017.
All right, well, let's hope that version of Carson Wentz can at least help the Eagles out, whether that's via trade or whether that's still playing for the Birds. Now, the guy that took over for him at the end of the year, that fella Jalen Hurts, how good do you think he could be? Because my take on him was definitely a confident guy, brimming with confidence, but still a lot of maturation, as you would expect for a rookie. But the confidence was off the charts as far as I was concerned. The athletic ability was off the charts as far as I was concerned. But when you look at him, what do you project him to be in the NFL?
The big question has to be, is he an athlete playing quarterback, or can he mature into a so-called NFL quarterback? We saw flashes of brilliance in games against Green Bay and against New Orleans. And then all of a sudden, the last few games after that, he looked like a rookie quarterback who didn't have a lot of OTAs, who had no preseason games, who basically sat on the bench and held a clipboard most of the season. As teams started to get more familiar with him and devising schemes to defend him, he wasn't putting up the numbers that he had put up the previous games against the Packers when he came in an emergency situation. And, of course, the way he played against the New Orleans Saints. Can they get him to be more of that guy who played against the New Orleans Saints? I don't know, because we don't know much about this coaching staff. We know the head coach has hired a bunch of guys that he knows. We know that Howie Roseman didn't interfere with these coaching hires the way he did when he hired Jim Schwartz before he hired Doug Peterson. So this is all on Nick Sirianni. So we don't know. I think he has potential, but a lot of players have potential and fizzle out. So I don't know. I have to see the guy in the full season before I can honestly answer that question.
Two more things for you. Well, one quick, one not so quick. You mentioned the problem and some of the problems that existed between Carson Wentz and Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman and all that. What do you think it would actually take? Like, how much of thin ice is Howie Roseman on right now in the eyes of Jeffrey Lurie, the guy that will actually make the decision when to move on from him? Is he on thin ice right now? Is it still going to take another 2 years, 3 years? What would it take for Jeffrey Lurie to see what I think us media members, Eagles fans already see in Howie Roseman, which is a guy that sure can make a trade, sure can work a contract, but can't draft? What would it take for Jeffrey Lurie to have that come to fruition for him?
I think this is a pivotal year in terms of Jeffrey deciding what Howie is or isn't to this organization. Obviously, whatever they draft this year, you're going to have to get players more so than guys that are just going to training camp and you end up cutting. And when you look at what they have right now, I believe they have 8 or 9 draft picks now. We don't know how many compensatory picks they might get because they haven't released some of the veteran players that I think that are going to be released between now and time. The first of the new league year starts in March. So I think this is a very pivotal year for him. The fact that Howie's still standing today, there's a part of me that's surprised, but there's a bigger part of me that's not, because of his relationship with Jeffrey Lurie. But I do think he's on borrowed time right now. Okay, all right, you got rid of the coach. You got the coach out of here. If we get this quarterback out of here, and we just drafted him 5 years ago, let's see what you do now, because this has to determine whether or not you are the right man for the situation moving forward. All right, now I let you draft Jalen Hurts in the second round in 2020. If he's going to step to the forefront, okay, unless we're going to draft another quarterback in 2021, and that wouldn't be above Howie, would it?
I hope the answer to that is no, my friend. I hope the answer to that is no. Last question for you. It's probably the most important thing. It's probably what's the number one thing on Eagles fans' minds today.
I didn't do it.
Has Derrick Gunn ever partied on a boat the way Tom Brady did in the Super Bowl boat parade?
Absolutely not. No, I've been on boats fishing. I don't party on boats. To me, when people drink excessively, when they're having a good time, they get two things. They get brave for the wrong reason, and they get stupid. And normally, D. Gunn doesn't like to be around either one of those. So you would not see me partying on a boat. Now, our friend and colleague, Barrett Brooks, he has a boat.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he's been trying to get me to go out fishing with him on his boat for a couple of years now. I said, okay, I'll fish with you in the bay off the Jersey Shore. He wants to go 50, 60 miles out to go tuna fishing and stuff. I said, Barrett, I'm not going 50 miles out. I'm not going 60 miles out. If I can't see land, I'm not supposed to be there. See, I've watched the Jaws movies too many times. I've watched that movie, The Meg, 3 or 4 times. So there are things in the water, and his boat's like 37 feet. There are things in the water bigger than his boat, man. So, as much as I love to fish and much as I would like to latch into a tuna or something like that, if we can't do it from the bay 3, 4, 5 miles off the shore where I can see small buildings and stuff like that, just in case I would have to get a drum and, like in the movie Jaws, and swim back to shore then. I told you I'm messed up, man. COVID got me all messed up, man. I'm telling you.
You're land bound, my friend. You're land
That's it.
bound.
That's it. See, I grew up in the Midwest, dude.
Right.
And in the Midwest, we fish lakes, streams, rivers. Then I moved to the East Coast, ocean fishing. This is still a novelty to me. I have a lot of friends that do it. I'm getting acclimated to it. But dude, I'm not. Look, when I go to the beach with my family, I don't go above my knees. I've seen too many documentaries, man. I know what's going on in that water.
Be honest with me. When you were in Wisconsin, were you already fearing Jaws? Were you fearing sharks in that water just because of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, so would I.
Absolutely.
I was afraid to take a shower after I saw Jaws.
And so what happens after you see when Jaws came out? What, 1971 or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so then when I'm 19 years old, I moved to the West Coast. I'm on the Pacific Ocean. I worked in San Diego and NBC for a while. And now I'm on the East Coast, the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. So I can say I've dipped my knees in the oceans that have bordered the country, but you're not seeing me going out there like a dolphin. It's not going to happen, dude.
I guess like a dolphin. What?
Yes. You're not going to see me bobbing across the water like this. That's not going to happen, my man.
I need to see that at some point in my life.
That's not going to happen. It will never happen.
Okay, two things I'll pray for. One,
Yes.
eating a Derrick Gunn, the grilled rib, rib off your barbecue, and then also watching you swim like a dolphin. Those are two things I'll pray for, my friend.
The first thing will definitely happen. The second one will never happen. It will never.
All right,
happen.
I'll settle for the rib. I'll settle for the rib.
I don't even go on a cruise. I'm not going on a cruise, dude. I don't trust the ocean.
I've never been on a cruise either. I ain't going either.
Nope.
Derrick Gunn on One podcast, which is phenomenal. Always great. Always great. Also,
I want to be like you when I grow up. I'm trying to be like you.
As soon as I grow up, man, I'll let you know what it's like, my friend.
All right. Okay.
Gunner, always, and odds on as well. What, CBS Sunday mornings?
Yep, with our friend Rob Ellis every Sunday morning.
Rob. Oh, he's great. That's fantastic. Gunner, always catching up with you. Make sure you follow my man at Real D Gunn. That's a gun with 2 N's on Twitter as well. Gunner, Gunfather, thanks so much for being on with us.
Hey, man, thank you for lowering your standards and allowing me to be on your show. And I wish you nothing but success, man. It's amazing. We have to be creative out of necessity. So what you're doing right now, I'm not surprised one bit. And I know it's going to take off like gangbusters. I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of it and not mess up your ratings.
Oh, stop it. You're the best, man. I appreciate it. You spoil me, my friend. Gunner, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Thank you so much, man. That's the great Derrick. That's the great Derrick Gunn. All of this. Thanks so much. Something about Derrick Gunn being out there on the ocean miles away. And if you haven't been miles out on a boat in the ocean, and I'm not talking about cruise. I went out there with a bunch of my family years ago. We go deep sea fishing. We've done it a couple of times. I absolutely love it. It is a humbling thought. It is a humbling thought to look out there and not see any land that you can swim to and know that if this boat goes down, there's going to be trouble. But not seeing Derrick Gunn fight a tuna, that'd be enjoyable. I'd pay to see that. Thanks again to Derrick Gunn, the Gunfather himself, for joining us on the Zados Investments guest line. Coming up, we got our social media check-in. We also have our morning rush. I'll just say this, in our morning rush, we have, I think, a new record set for this show for clips played because I just couldn't get enough of that boat parade yesterday. So we'll get to that in just a second. Right now, let me tell you about our friends at DraftKings. It's not quite time for the madness that the month of March brings, especially in the college basketball world, but DraftKings Sportsbook is where it's at. America's top-rated sportsbook app, giving all new players the chance to win $100. New customers can bet $1 on any team to hit a three-pointer in any basketball game this week. And your team, he makes it rain, makes 1-3. Guess what? You can make it rain. You win $100. Bet $1 to win $100. It sounds like a no-brainer because it is a no-brainer. And this slam dunk of an offer won't be around forever. So head to the App Store right now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Get in on all the action that DraftKings has to offer. If basketball isn't for you, DraftKings Sportsbook has daily odds on hockey and soccer and so much more. DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion, billion with a B, to its customers since 2012. So they know a thing or two about big days and big paydays. Right now, go and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy to get your shot at turning $1 into $100 when you bet any team to hit a three-pointer in any basketball game this week. Promo code Farzy for new customers to get a shot at $100. That's a 100 to 1 odds on any basketball team hitting a three-point shot. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, present in Pennsylvania. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Winnings pay out in 4 $25 free bets. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And how about our friends at Sky Motor Cars giving us some great giveaways on our social media accounts, across all our social media accounts, especially Twitter at Farzy Show. Big thank you to those guys at Sky Motor Cars. If you don't know about Sky Motor Cars, what are you doing? Sky Motor Cars is the premier luxury car dealership in the greater Philadelphia area that promises to provide honest and efficient service, whether you're buying, selling, or trading in your car. But Sky Motor Cars, not just for the luxury high-end vehicles. No. Sky's inventory has cars for everybody's budget, and you can stay tuned for a special giveaway later this week, courtesy of our friends at Sky Motor Cars, including maybe a little thing going on with that quarterback of the Eagles, at least for now, that guy Carson Wentz. Go visit SkyMotorcars.com to learn more. And when you buy or sell your next vehicle, Learn to buy and sell with Sky. And tell them Marc Farzetta sent you. And how about Fan Up? Hope you guys had a lot of fun during the big game week last week with our friends at Fan Up. Download the app right now. Go to the App Store. Download the Fan Up app. Philly fans, if you want to be shot callers and NBA ballers like Diddy for a week at least, you got to get Fan Up. You could win cash, a Donovan Mitchell Gem Mint 10 autograph rookie card, pair of Jordans, maybe all three. How about that? Download the Fan Up app. Days of playing fantasy sports alone are over. Enter Fan Up's super fun daily and weekly contest, answer fun questions, and rise on the leaderboard. Squad with your friends. You can have some good times. You can squad up with your buddies. You can also win even more on the Fan Up app. Fan Up, I'm doing it with my friends, and make sure you do it with yours. It's fun. It's easy. The only place to win the hottest brand prizes is with Fan Up. If you want those Jordans, sign up with Fan Up. All day, all week, for all season long, you could be the MVP. Download the Fan Up app in the App Store. Use promo code FANUP and get 2,000 bonus points. That's Fan Up. May the best fan win. So make sure you check out all that and more with the good people of Fan Up. As promised, we always do our social media check-in. It's brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland. So make sure you check out Steak and Maine. Go to steakandmaine.com. Social media check-in, a couple of fun things here. We asked the social media question. We put out the poll question as to what you want the Eagles to do with Carson Wentz. We had talked about that earlier in the week. Today we're asking, let's just entertain the idea that the Eagles get a good return back for Carson Wentz. As we said at the start of the show, are you trusting Howie Roseman? Are you confident Howie's going to just hit on those picks and all of a sudden you feel a lot more warm and fuzzy about what happens with this football team in the not too distant future? I don't think so. And as of right now, 94% of you say you're not confident that Howie will hit on those picks. 94%. We said, are you confident? Yes or no? Some people, Nikki B saying, is hell an option? No, but I think that's where we're at right now, unfortunately. Draft history tells the story. This is Trip McNeely saying his draft history tells the story. So no, not even a little bit. I would agree with that. Last draft, absolutely not. Captain Can't, great name, says no. And also Joe saying, get a first and trade it and Zach Ertz to the Ravens for Orlando Brown. Saw that he wants out of Baltimore. I'd take him on the Eagles. I don't know if I'm giving up Zach for that, but maybe you get a little bit more for Zach, as a matter of fact. That was the social media check-in brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine. And now it is time for our morning rush. Everything you need to know, everything you possibly need to see or hear about before you start your workday. Here is your morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars. We mentioned this yesterday. It's now gotten worse, not in terms of players testing positive for COVID or just being put on the COVID protocol list. The Philadelphia Flyers, as of yesterday, Claude Giroux, Giroux's on there, Sanheim's on there, and Braun is on there. 3 players on the COVID protocol list. Now, it doesn't mean that they've tested positive for COVID-19. It means that they at least come in contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID-19. So as of right now, that was the story yesterday. Today, the story is not just the Devils games getting pushed back, but now, the Capitals game getting pushed back, but also the Rangers game on Sunday is being postponed for a future date, all because of COVID-19. So the Flyers, as well as several other teams, including the Devils, as a matter of fact, like I said yesterday, are in the midst of a paused season due to the pandemic. Speaking of the pandemic, Philadelphia City Council members are asking Mayor Kinney to open up the link as a vaccination site. We'll see if that happens. And they're calling this, City Council members are proposing this as Operation Philly Special, because of course they are. Hopefully that works out. Here we go. I can't get over how awesome that boat parade was yesterday. And maybe I'm just a boatsman. I don't know. I just enjoy the sea and the bay. I don't know. I just enjoy bodies of water. So anyway, Tom Brady, Boat Brady, is a second best Brady. The first best Brady is Brady's strip sack by Brandon Graham. That's the best Brady. Second best Brady is Boat Brady. And he looked like he was having himself a ball yesterday. And if you haven't seen any of this footage, you got to check out. You've been under a rock because it was all over social media yesterday. But in case you missed it, we're going to play for you the Tom Brady throwing the Lombardi Trophy from his boat to Gronk's boat yesterday. Here's one angle.
Big old boat parade. Wait, no, don't, no! Good. Okay. Touchdown.
There's no other, like, nobody else could do that unless you're like, hey, I got 6 more of these. Who cares about this one? Boom. And they throw it across. That's a guy who's got 6 other Lombardi trophies. Whatever happens, this one's fine. This one gets sink to the bottom of the bag. That's fine. Not a problem. That's what Tom Brady can do. And by the way, it was a nice pass. Now, as I pointed out yesterday, notice Tom Brady's not the one trying to catch it because we all know what would happen. They'd drop it. You wouldn't see the Lombardi trophy anymore. It's not hilarious. Anyway, sorry. That's one angle of it. Let's go on the boat and take a look at Tom Brady throwing that thing. As they point out on social media, and they posted it there. I got that off of ESPN. You could hear, I think it's his daughter yelling, "No, Dad, don't." Don't throw the Lombardi trophy across the body of water to another boat. Don't do that. And then this is the one that's really been making its rounds. And I don't want to say that we've all been there, but I know I've been there. I know I've been around my friends when they've been there. And I've been the guy both being Tom Brady in this part of the video, and I've also been the guy trying to help Tom Brady in this part of the video.
Tom, how awesome was that?
Tom Brady, Super Bowl MVP 7 times.
I mean, the man's human after all, right? And that's what happens when kale is the only thing you eat. That's not a good base, folks. That's not a good base. And imagine being hungover the next day and you don't drink coffee. I would need a lot of coffee after a day like that. And Tom Brady apparently has never had coffee. Maybe today, maybe right now, maybe now. Tom Brady's having his first sip of coffee. Who knows? But that was all that happened during the break. And I love the guy at the beginning of that video, the news reporter that's still trying to be serious. Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion. And meanwhile, Brady's being literally held up by his friends and teammates and whatever. It's like, no, man, that's not the story anymore. Turn around. The GOAT's a little wobbly. But it was entertaining to watch everything play out. And then I saw this late yesterday. I think this actually happened 2 nights ago. We've played this clip for you really throughout the week, and it's the streaker from the Super Bowl, and it was entertaining. It turns out that guy, that streaker, as we told you earlier, $300,000 is what he won in a bet, allegedly. Now, it came out, he actually said that, yeah, that's true. I did bet on myself, and it's not $300,000. It's $375,000 that he wins in that bet because he bet on himself, quite literally, that there would be a streaker, and then he was the streaker at the Super Bowl. So I know we were all kind of thinking, hey, what's Gronk think about this? And sure enough, you know what Gronk thinks? Well, he went on the James Corden show and talked about that streaker at the Super Bowl.
Moment.
There was a couple guys on our team that were loving it. They were like, yes, yes, yes. You know, and I feel like that's exactly what we needed to complete the night because the night was going so smooth. Like we were scoring, our defense was dominating, everyone was playing super well. You know, we're up by a lot, and then all of a sudden, here comes a streaker. So I was on the sideline like, yes, this is what we needed. We're up. This streaker's amazing. It was entertainment. You know?
He was quick,
and then,
though, hey?
Yeah, he was quick. And then the slide into the end zone was pretty incredible. And he had a couple jukes, too. And then I thought he was going to pull down his pants. I was like, no, man, you're going too far with this. And then he had a thong on, like a thong, like bathing suit type thing, like a one piece. And I was like, oh, man, this guy was prepared. He was ready for the moment.
Well, he was so fast. I thought there was a chance that the Chiefs might go, hey, buddy, can you stick around and get a kit on and run for us? Because he made a good run for the end zone there.
Yeah, he did. He actually scored. The Chiefs didn't. He scored. They should definitely sign him.
A little dig at the end there from Gronk. Let's not forget, Gronk is a guy that once missed a free throw in college. Once missed a free throw in high school simply because his team had 69 points and he didn't want to go past 69. So that's Gronk for you. And a little dig at the end there. That was some stuff from the parade and obviously the Super Bowl championship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving to the NBA now. Lakers beat the Thunder last night, 114-113. LeBron James, Al Horford, both with 24 points. Al Horford a 24-point night. Also, the Bucks lost to the Suns, 125-124. Giannis had 47 points in that losing effort. Devin Booker with 28. This one is a little bit more closer to home, going to the baseball world now. In the baseball world, Christian Yelich, this story is amazing. I don't know what I can. Okay, nachos. And I've been on a big pizza bender. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I've done, pizza so many straight days. I've done nachos so many straight days. I don't get tired. I like what I like. Apparently, Christian Yelich and JT Realmuto, while they were teammates with the Miami Marlins, they had Chipotle, which is delicious, 142 days. They had Chipotle 142 days during one single baseball season. 142 days of Chipotle. This story came out by Fansided. Robert Murray put the story out there, and he said he got this story from the former hitting coach of the Miami Marlins, who once talked to Christian Yelich and said that Yelich told him that they went there 142 times because Yelich put out a story yesterday, put out a post of his personalized Chipotle card, saying that this is like, hey, Christian Yelich, he goes to Chipotle, he uses this card. This is the official Christian Yelich card. His name's on it. It's pretty boss. So anyway, that tweet gets put out there by this guy from Fansided, Robert Murray. That tweet then gets quoted by JT Realmuto himself, who says, can confirm this story, 142 days. What could you eat in, let's see, 6 months, 142 times? In 6 months, what could you eat that many times? There's not a lot on that list that I wouldn't get sick of. Nachos, I'd probably eat, no problem. Pizza, yeah, sure, no problem. But Chipotle, that's a lot. That's a lot of times of telling somebody how to make your order. I mean, and I assume this isn't all the same Chipotle, so maybe they don't. Maybe he's got to tell them his order every single time. That in itself would get annoying for me. But that little story came out yesterday, and it is it's something. Hey, whatever makes him the best catcher in baseball, JT Realmuto, more power to you. Do want to give you the big bets. I am red hot 2 in a row after losing 3 in a row. So 2 in a row right now is pretty hot as far as I'm concerned. But the bet I like tonight on DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. That brings us big bets. Celtics -3.5 going up against the Raptors. Raptors coming off a back-to-back. They just scored 137 points against the Wizards last night. So you're like, the Raptors are red hot. No. The Wizards are like the worst defensive team in the NBA. They allow 120 points a night on average. They're pretty god-awful. And now the Raptors got to go continue their road trip in Boston against the Celtics. So I like the Celtics tonight, -3.5. So I'll be betting the Celtics with DraftKings, and that is the big bet we'll be looking at for tonight. Sixers are back in action tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers, 10 o'clock tip-off. I'll be staying up late for that game. You know why? If I do that for you, the early audience in particular, if I do that, then I don't have to continuously talk about Carson Wentz ad nauseum. But I know he'll still be worked into the conversation yesterday, and who knows, over the next couple of hours, maybe the next couple of days, maybe the next couple of weeks, maybe everything will come to fruition. And we'll be talking about what kind of return Howie got in this in this trade, and we'll be looking forward to the future, hopefully, of maybe Jalen Hurts here in the city of Philadelphia. Also, 2 things that jumped out to me about the Derrick Gunn interview I failed to touch on earlier. Derrick Gunn describing this whole thing as a hot mess. Nothing feels more appropriate than referring to the Eagles and this Carson Wentz situation and how they've handled the quarterback situation and really how they even handled their head coach situation over the last month or so. Nothing describes it better than a hot mess. I don't think there's any better description of what's been going on than just calling it a hot mess. I think that accurately describes everything. The other thing was that Doug just got sick of Howie. And I've been saying throughout this whole process, when Doug eventually went to Lori for that second meeting, he said, here it is, man. It's on the table. This is how I feel. I'm done with this guy. I'm done with that guy. My way or the highway. Like Derrick Gunn told us, you get another job in 5 minutes if you wanted one. He's going to wait out a nice year of getting paid a nice little sum of money to just chill. And here's what, next year he'll be back in the league as a head coach somewhere in the NFL. That's what Derrick Gunn told us. I wholeheartedly believe that. And, all the more reason why it is a hot mess. There's a story in closing. There's another national anthem story going on in the NBA. I didn't want to ignore it. I didn't want to make it a huge subject on the show today. But I do want to be honest. If there's a headline out there, I don't want to shy away from it. And here's how I feel about the national anthem being played at games. And right now, the Dallas Mavericks, the owner, Mark Cuban, said they're not going to be playing it, and now is kind of backpedaling on that a little bit. The NBA came out and flexed and said, yeah, no, you're going to play it. That's the thing. Now, when everything went down with Colin Kaepernick, Adam Silver jumped ahead of it and said, guys, I don't want anybody kneeling. You can wear T-shirts with social causes. That'll be the compromise. If you want to raise awareness, that's how we can raise awareness. The players agreed to that. I always want the national anthem played. And I know there's a school of thought that says, well, why are we even playing it at sporting events? Well, God forbid we play something that honors our country before we all take part in something that we enjoy. Like, that's how I feel about it. And we have enough soldiers, we have enough troops, we have enough servicemen and women that go about there without getting thanked ever. And I think it's a nice thing for not just them, but also their families to know that most of us are thinking about them. As far as kneeling and demonstrating goes, doing all that, I've learned a long time ago, telling somebody else how to be American is a very fast way to sound un-American. And if you wanted everybody to agree, then America wouldn't be as great as it is. So when I look at it, I'll do what I'll do during the national anthem, which is stand there with my hand on my heart and think about my family in particular that has served, and I'll honor them and I'll think about them because that's my time to do that. Other people have taken it upon themselves to think of something else during that time. They still come out. They're still out there for the national anthem. If they're demonstrating for another reason and they want to bring attention to something else because of social cause, well, that's part of America. And I look at them and they might be kneeling and I'll say that's what they'll do and I'll do what I do. But I'm not going to tell them what to do. I don't care about it anymore. I was angry and enraged when I watched Colin Kaepernick do it originally. And then when it was explained to me, no, it's not because he hates America and he hates troops. It's because he wants to bring awareness for social change. Oh, okay. So I'll be over here still doing what I want to do, and he'll be over there doing what he wants to do. It's called America. I still want it to be played. I still, if it's up to me, like I said, I could never kneel. I could never do that. I could just stand there with my hand on my heart and honor the troops because that's what I believe that time is for and nothing else. That's me personally. I'm not going to tell somebody else how to be American. Thanks for watching the show today. Thanks for listening to the show. Download it across all podcast platforms and catch it across all social media platforms as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow on a fine Friday, and good luck with the snow out there. Have a good one, everybody.